Fibromyalgia symptoms and mental health, Part 2. Fibromyalgia symptoms and mental health therapy. At the age of 18, I had seen a counselor again, but as I was now an adult, I could only have 6 sessions and that would be it for the time being. I spent most of my time explaining childhood trauma to her, how I had been abused, and constantly talking to her about how I am not being taken seriously about FM. We spoke about my mental health and my emotions. I told her that every time I tried to talk to somebody about suspecting I have fibromyalgia, whether with a health professional or not, I was dismissed. Mental illness diagnosis. After the 6 sessions, she mentioned that my symptoms with my mental health sound like borderline personality disorder and that she thinks I should push on being diagnosed for FM as she thinks it would help me feel better knowing. I didn't know much about BPD at this point, but when I researched the disorder, it felt like everything I had been battling mentally. How has fibromyalgia changed your daily life? Fibromyalgia has changed my daily life drastically. Most hobbies I had are now a rarity for me to partake in and feel more of a task than something fun. I have lost many friends who were either completely rude about my situation or just unsupportive. My old life. In addition, I was never able to have a career in the line of work I had studied for or wanted because it would hurt me and make me ill and flare up. I have worked in many different types of jobs trying to find something to suit me and recently had to leave an office job due to not feeling well enough to continue. Keeping active has always been important to me, even if it is just a little bit of exercise, but when I flare up, it becomes a vicious cycle of struggling to move and even just leave the house and having to wait until I feel I am capable of trying again. Many aspects of my life have had to be changed. Trying new options is definitely something to consider though. I felt better mentally after cutting the ties with people who didn't support me. A real friend would not question if my illness existed. Quality is better than quantity, and if friends cannot support you no matter what, then they aren't really your friends. I have personally come to the conclusion that this is just who I am and I try my best and do as much as I can, and that is all that matters. Little positive thoughts like that can make a huge change. Is there anything you do that helps you from going into a flare? Are you able to know what will bring a flare on? If so, please explain. Trying not to push me into doing too much is definitely something helpful when it comes to flare-ups. In the past, I have forced myself to go out and do things that fit people could do, because I felt pressured or I wanted to feel normal. That is definitely something that made me unwell and gave me flares. I have worked in jobs before where I have pushed my body and mental health to dangerous lengths instead of just giving myself the rest I needed. Advice. It won't get better instantly, but pacing yourself and knowing when to stop or chill makes a massive difference. I have struggled with my weight being up and down for years, but I do notice that when I am at a healthy weight, I feel I can do more, and it takes away a bit of that struggle. Reducing stress and just taking the time to have a deep breath and release the tension can make me feel a little more positive, even if just for a short time. How has your exercise or diet changed since being diagnosed with fibromyalgia, if at all? Have you noticed certain foods having an effect on your symptoms? If so, which ones? I try to exercise as much as I can and keep active when I am feeling comfortable and well enough to do so. Eating well can definitely change the way you feel mentally or physically, but I understand that it can be a challenge. And when I get stuck in a cycle of not exercising or eating well, it is very hard for me to get out of it. Most of the time, if I am not eating well, it is when I have a flare-up and can't manage to feed myself a proper meal. How has your mental illness changed your daily life? My mental illness affects me daily also. Struggling with anxiety and depression affects me just as much as FM. Constantly feeling exhausted mentally and not having any motivation can make even simple tasks seem so daunting. Symptoms of BPD affect me also, like not reacting to most things in a manner that would seem normal and feeling emotions so intense really messes me up sometimes. Is there anything that you do when your mental illness flares up to help yourself? Do you feel exercise and diet helps with your mental illness? If so, how and in what way? There isn't much I specifically do to help when I am feeling mentally unwell. I tend to take lots of rest though, as if I am feeling mentally unwell, my FM symptoms tend to be heightened. I do notice that talking to somebody who has felt similar or somebody who will listen even if they don't understand really helps me feel less isolated. Do you feel that your fibromyalgia symptoms and mental health are connected? Example, do you feel your depression increases with your pain or vice versa? I do believe that if I am battling physical symptoms, my mental symptoms worsen and vice versa. If I have a meltdown and get stressed, then the physical pain can get pretty bad and causes an FM flare-up. A lot of the time I feel as though I can be feeling low or anxious because of my fibromyalgia. Living every day with an illness can definitely affect you mentally. I have found that many people with FM may also be diagnosed with a form of mental illness also. Continue, please watch part 3.